Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for Modern Survivalist. Yesterday with Matt we were talking about the situation in Ukraine, Russia likely to invade or not. We talked about this stuff. I want to talk here about the practical aspect of all of this, of the people involved and how is it that they're facing this. Of course, it's going to be depending on each one's situation and of course geographically even where you are. Now, the threat I think is serious no matter where you are right now in Ukraine. You would be very concerned no matter where it is that you are. Of course, if you're closer to the regions that are already either occupied, invaded, or likely to be invaded soon, if that ends up happening, we just don't know. Hopefully it doesn't happen, right? But this is definitely the way a lot of people have been living for a pretty long time. So in this video, talking about the practical aspect, so many times we get lost on the fantasy and the nonsense in our prepper survival community with stuff that is really not attached much to reality. This is reality for a lot of people. So in a nutshell, if you haven't been keeping up, you have Ukraine, which is this country right here. Let me freeze that there. You have Russia. You have Belarus there on top. You have Moldova here. Basically, we talked about this quite a bit yesterday with Matt, but the way I see it, and here's where we have maybe a little bit of a difference of opinion. I see it like these are the ones that are the aggressors, and Ukraine is the one defending themselves from them. I see them as, because they start showing how all the bases that they have, all of these bases in Belarus, which is pretty much part of Russia. You have these bases over there. You have Crimea that was already annexed down south, so this is now part of Russia. And you have the region here on the east, which is now under Russian control as well, right? You have that part that is, you have people that sympathize because of their, affinity with Russia and the amount of people that were either directly Russians or very strongly linked to that heritage. So all of this is now occupied by, pro-Russian forces. The so-called separatist controlled is pretty much Russian forces in that region. Now, one little thing to keep in mind here, you do have also this part here. This is in Moldova. You have a Russian base here too. So these are the guys that I see surrounded by Russian forces. So how is this affecting people? Well, some people are sticking to their guns literally and waiting for a fight. A lot of these people have this has to be said as well. A lot of people living here that were, Ukrainian and patriotic Ukrainians, they were displaced. They were basically forced to leave the place where they lived, the cities, the regions where they lived. As these separatists and pro-Russian forces rolled in, these people were displaced. Same thing for Crimea. In Crimea, it is true that there's a lot more sympathizers towards Russia. That has changed a lot since 2014. There's a pretty cool documentary where they interview people that they interviewed back in 2014 that were very pro-Russian. Now they're singing a different tune because they are, as they say themselves, living under a military dictatorship, which is kind of what you would expect if you're living under a authoritarian dictator like Vladimir Putin. As charismatic as he may be, still a dictator, 20 years in power, will not allow much freedom, and that is maybe not as cool to actually endure. So, all that being said, these folks are fighting, and they're preparing for even more of a fight. But on the practical level of, families, this guy here with his wife and two kids, what is it that they're doing? What is it that they're preparing for? This is a family, wife, husband, two kids. These guys are preparing to do what I described in bugging out and relocating, which is bugging out, not in the bullshit manner that we often see, like, heading to the hills and living off the land and, eating ants and preparing soup with roots that you dig up. These folks, and this has been going on since 2014. In 2014, many of these folks that were pro-Ukrainian and not so much pro-Russian in these territories that were invaded by Russia, they were displaced. And this is what they have. You have a small suitcase, which I'm telling you, that's full of clothes. And this is, we have a bag full of documents. It's always here. Literally the stuff that I explained here, a bag with your documents, not a camping bag so as to head to the nearest national park and live off the land and build an improvised shelter. You just get in your vehicle, get the hell out of there. You have a inflatable mattress here. So the idea is this, guys. You need, when you're talking about a realistic bug out bag, a realistic bug out plan for invasion from Russia, a storm, flood, a damn volcano erupting and lava literally destroying everything in its path, you're not staying for a fight, right? You just have to get yourself out of there. If you have your family and your small kids, you probably want to get them out of there as Russia is invading as well. So this goes along with a certain plan. They have an idea of where they're going to be heading. They have an idea, maybe family, friends, some city in mind. So as soon as they hear that this force is getting closer, they get into their vehicle, a vehicle that is kept in good condition. You have enough fuel, stuff we've talked about so many times, stuff I've written about for years now. You get into your vehicle, and you don't need the latest cool Land Rover. You need a car that's reliable and gives you good mileage for whatever gas you have. The more mileage you get out of it, better it is. You have to find a point in between. I'm, more of the mid-level SUV vehicle, a little bit of off-road capability, but still a good daily driver. That's my take on it. Whatever works for you, and depending on where you are. But you want to have something like this: bag with clothes, spare stuff, documents, and pretty much that's it. Now, on the other aspect of all of this, you have people that are staying there for the fight. Either local authorities, police, military, part of the local militia. Militia is anyone that picks a gun so as to defend what's his. If you are someone living in Ukraine and you just don't want to put up with Russia invading, you may end up doing what this other guy is doing, part of the local police, but he's preparing for more of the soldier militia role as well. So he's explaining here that he has the kits for the rest of the officers. You see himself here. He has like a EDC type of bag, and he has the Baofeng radio. That's basically it. That radio, that's a typical Baofeng radio. I think it's one of the other, maybe a little bit of a larger battery pack, but still the same thing. It's nothing. This radio is not going to be doing anything special that you cannot do with Baofeng. So the stuff that we've talked about so many times. But this guy is definitely going to be staying there for a fight. Now, which one is it? Are you the guy with the Baofeng and the Alpha jacket ready for a fight? Are you the guy with a family and kids? Maybe you're both. In that case, you take your family out of the way, out of the fight, and then you go back so as to fight for your country, which is entirely possible and maybe a much better idea than having your family in between. These are for police officers, the guy says, right? Saying that they're ready for a fight if they have to defend the city where they are. So this is why you want to have a little bit of both things. So you have the idea of getting out of the path. A lot of the stuff that I talk about here in street survival skills regarding fighting, regarding how to use these tools and how to defend yourself. All of this applies if you find yourself in what this guy is thinking of. Okay. And then you have, before I go with the last point, it's going to be giving you more of a complete picture of realistic preparedness rather than the nonsense and bullshit. I saw this one, which is pretty interesting. You have this guy, Ukrainian, with his stuff. You see your AR here. This has a little bit of paint from something else that's not in the rest. I'm assuming this is just put together with whatever parts they got, assembling it, and it's pretty chewed up over there. So this is a build gun with whatever parts. It's probably been in a number of places in service, or assembled from spares. Who knows? No idea what the flashlight is. You have, this isn't, I don't think that's even an actual silencer. Maybe it's more of a flash hider, which would make sense. We'd still like to have the flash hider if it is. I don't see it as much of a sound suppressor. Flashlight, no idea. The Bushnell red dot, man, no, it's not ideal, but you know what? For this guy, it's probably going to be enough. It's probably going to be a lot better than having no gun at all, and definitely going to be better than just sticking with iron sights. He hasn't got any backup sights, which you probably would want, especially when running your Bushnell in your Franken AR. Anyway, if it's working for him, if it's reliable and he's putting rounds through it and he feels comfortable with it, more power to him, man. Absolutely. But I was just caught by this picture, how you definitely want to have a good gun, a good rifle, some good optics. It sounds expensive at times. You're thinking of the aim points and the Trigicons, sure, but if it's your life in the line and you're using that thing, you want to have the best possible. It used to be that these things were not all that expensive, but that's changing. There's something really weird going on. He's missing like the charging handle there. Let me know in the comments what's going on there, because I'm just seeing that I don't see the charging handle in this AR. What's up with that? Yeah, maybe something with the picture. Anyway, but the kind of thing that some of these guys preparing to fight are doing. And then you have the classic approach of the homesteader. I'm gonna be living in my land, in my farm, growing my own food, and that's all great. But you may find yourself like this woman, Zoya. What's her name? Zoya Krylia. Anyway, my Ukrainian. So she tends to her animals. She has her little goats and chickens and trees, and she has a little bit of a farm going on, a wood burning stove, the typical thing we often talk about. Now, she has apples, trees. Her daughter already moved to Russia. Obviously, this family, more of the Russian heritage, Russian sympathizing aspect of the society going on here, but she's no longer there. She moved to Russia. Now, herself, the mother, she's staying in her property, but she's saying that her trees got all blown up when a shell blew. When they got shelled, the explosion destroyed all of her trees. So, what is it? What is it that you do? Well, what she did, one of the few remaining residents, and her daughter moved to Russia. She's alone now. So, had a garden planted, and all of that got destroyed. She plants, a projectile hit there and cut all the trees at the roots. So she plants the trees again, and those trees grow again. And she's a resilient woman. But now let me ask you this. Would you want to be this person if you are this other guy with a family? Do you want to be the guy with his wife and kids when the Russians roll in? Risking getting murdered, rape, God knows what? Probably not. So this is why you want to combine all of these three things. You want to be the guy that's capable of fighting. You want to be the guy that has some amount of self-reliance, self-sufficiency, the land, the ability of moving fast if you have to, and having the mindset of it is all just stuff. If I leave it behind, the important thing is this. The important thing is the people. The stuff can be replaced. The trees can be replanted. All of that. But probably, I get it. I understand. Over the years, I've become very empathic with other people's opinion and their reality. For this woman leaving this place, she probably just want to die there if she has to. Her daughter, maybe not so much. But the more options you have, the smarter you are about all of this, the better you're going to be responding in the more appropriate manner, depending on what's the hand you've been dealt. Okay, folks, that's going to be all for now. I hope you got something out of this video. Get those cogs moving and thinking. More food for thought. See you later. Take care.